We all know Gojo Satoru, arguably the pinnacle of power in the Jujutsu Kaisen universe. A man so strong in the Jujutsu sorcery that his mere birth alone deterred cases and evil Jujutsu sorcerers from stepping out of line. But what if I told you there was another individual, arguably just as powerful, maybe powerful enough to even top the pinnacle of power in the verse? Another sorcerer whose power, if wielded correctly, rivals Gojo's. Now, I know for a fact what you're thinking. You're thinking, who on this earth in this series fits that criteria? Your mind's probably skimming through all of the possibilities right now. But before we discuss who that sorcerer is, I'd like to welcome you all to my 1000 subscriber Jujutsu Q&A video. And all I ask is, if you like the video, make sure to like, comment, and maybe even subscribe if you do really enjoy it. Appreciate you. Now back to the question at hand. Who could possibly be as strong or stronger than Gojo Satoru? Yuta, Sukuna Ryuman, Kinji Hakari, Suguru Geto, Konjaku. If these names flew through your mind, then the answer is none of these. The answer is actually Takaba Fumihiko, a sorcerer who wields a curse technique that even Gojo Satoru would have trouble dealing with. Now, before you all get your pitchforks out and get ready to take me down, hear me out, okay? Takaba was introduced during the Culling Games arc in chapter 146. He's a comedian, which is funny because his technique is also called the comedian. And the way the technique works is that anything Takaba truly finds funny becomes a reality. So to answer the question at hand, do I believe Takaba is special grade? Yes, I absolutely do. He is. And here is why. Of what we know of the special grades, one major stipulation among them all is that they must be capable of overthrowing a country by themselves, single-handedly. Now imagine Takaba stands against an army, and he imagines all their weaponry just becomes water guns, or they all just turn into dildos, or everyone in the army simultaneously shits their pants and threw up on each other. The possibilities for such an ability like the comedian are absolutely endless, and for this man's ability and potential, it is limitless. So to answer that question, yes, I believe Takaba is an unclassified special grade, and I would also believe that he could most likely beat Gojo Satoru in a fight, but I'll save that one for another video, and it'd be a good one, trust me. Moving on to the next question, what do I think Sukuna is gonna do when he acts upon his binding vow with Yuji? For those of you who don't know or can't remember, Sukuna and Yuji entered into a binding vow way back in chapter 11 of the manga. In order to revive Yuji after Sukuna had taken over his body to kill the special grade in front of them, he ended up going a bit rogue and held Yuji's body hostage by tearing out his heart. The binding vow was made and has the following conditions. Number 1. Yuji agrees to let Sukuna take control of Yuji's body for 1 full minute when Sukuna chants the word enchain. However, he cannot kill or hurt anyone during this time. And then number 2, Yuji completely forgets about this agreement once he's revived. Now back to the question of what I think Sukuna will do when he evokes this binding vow. First, we need to recognize that there are only 5 fingers left before Sukuna returns to full power, and we still don't know just how powerful Sukuna is at that level. When we look at what 15 fingers Sukuna could do inside of Shibuya in such a small amount of time, it pales in comparison to what full-powered Sukuna could most likely do once he is back. There is a strong possibility that Sukuna chants the words enchain and takes over Yuji's body when Yuji is close to the last 5 fingers. Theorizing here, Sukuna then consumes them and then becomes more powerful to break binding vow, which is my first theory here. It's something that I could see Sukuna being able to do and is a very real possibility in the world of Jujutsu Kaisen. We don't know. We don't know just how powerful Sukuna is, but we do know that he is arguably the most powerful in the verse once he is back to his full strength. So it's going to be interesting to see what he can do with it. My second theory here is that Sukuna wants something from Megami. I'm not entirely sure what this is right now, but based on a couple of occasions here, Sukuna has shown specific interest in our boy Megami and has even praised him for his use of the 10 Shadows technique for him summoning Shikigami using shadows rather than medallions. Again, whatever Sukuna wants from Megami is hard to theorize as we have barely any information about his plans and what he is going to do once he is fully revived. But one thing is for sure, Sukuna is certainly planning to be reincarnated at some point during the series, and when he is, it's going to be absolute chaos. The next question comes from Lloyd, who asks, do you think Yuta will lose in his inevitable fight against Konjaku? I've already covered their first fight in a previous video. Click here on the card to go check that out. But as for their next inevitable encounter, I'm torn. Part of me wants to say my boy Yuta no diffs this man Konjaku, but he's also going to have to blitz this man for 5 minutes straight and pull every trick out of his ass and the book. And while we know the majority of Yuta's abilities, there are a couple of major differentials between their last fight and this one that is going to happen. The first one being Yuta now has a domain expansion, which we don't know anything about yet. Gege teased it with us during Yuta's three-way fight in the Cullen games, but we got zero information from chapter about his domain. The second differential is also Konjaku's domain. We have to work on the basis that a sorcerer who's figured out how to swap bodies like Orochimaru and has lived for hundreds of years has to have figured out a domain for himself. And you bet your sweet bippy that it's going to be something absolutely ridiculous. So in a battle of domains, it's completely unknown right now. And then the third difference between the first fight is Yuta fought against Geto. And that was a completely and utterly different man from Konjaku, who's shown us just how ruthless he is and just how cunning he is. I mean, the man simply outplayed Gojo rather than taking him on in a straight up fist fight, because he knew he would straight up get clapped and lose. If he is capable of this type of foresight and planning ahead for Gojo, imagine what type of plan he'd have for Yuta, who he's already fought and will have knowledge of prior to. And then the final differential in this deathmatch is Konjaku's chaos technique. As of the time of this recording, we've only seen Konjaku's chaos technique just once, and it seemingly nullifies chaos techniques and or manipulates gravity itself to stop attacks from reaching him. We have to assume that he has more up his very, very large sleeves to help defend himself. So the TLDR on this fight is simply, I don't know, and I think it's too early to put predictions out, but I am obviously rooting for Yuta. Hashtag rooting for Yuta. But that then leads me into the next question of, what do you think Yuta's domain expansion is? And honestly, this question gets me all tingly just thinking about it, because I truly do not know. Purely because Yuta is a different type of sorcerer from what we've seen before and what we're used to. Yuta and Rika work as this wondrous tag team duo of sheer decimation against almost anyone who stands in their way. So with knowing that, it's safe to bet that in some way, shape or form, Rika would be involved in the domain. But that then leaves the question of what his domain could be when he's already able to do so much as it is, with already endless cursed energy for 5 minutes and his copy technique. What on earth could Yuta Okkotsu figure out in a domain to top that? If I have to take a really, really wild guess, and I mean a really wild guess, it could be something that messes with time. Maybe something similar to Gojo's. Hell, for all we even know, it could be even a direct imitation slash copy of the Limitless Void. Considering Yuta looks up to Gojo so much and will one day surpass him, in Gojo's words, what better way to surpass him than copy his technique and make it better? They say imitation is the biggest form of flattery. As far as Yuta and Rika are concerned, the possibilities for their domain are wild and vast, and I, for one, am super excited to see them brought to the manga panels, and then one day animated. Coming back round at a somewhat circle, the question comes from Anime and Gaming Nerd, who asks, do you think Takaba could possibly free Gojo if he figured out how his curse technique work? And I want to keep my answer short and sweet here, just like me. This is because I want to dig deeper into Takaba's power in another video later on down the line. But the short answer is yes, absolutely. I believe Takaba may end up playing a bigger role in the story than we could possibly ever imagine. Now onto our final question in this video, coming from a woman from Saturn. Phenomenal name, by the way. Do you believe we will see any other members from different clans? Absolutely, 100% yes. I believe at some point we'll end up seeing a lot more of the other clans. I've talked about this briefly in previous reviews on the series, but the way that Jujutsu Kaisen is headed right now seems to be in the direction of an all-out war. A war for Jujutsu sorcerers and their powers that the US believe will be their answer to renewable energy. So it stands to reason for me that once we see the US invading Japan for the sorcerers, the clans may end up coming together and fighting alongside one another in an effort to stave off the US in their land. This will obviously lead to us being introduced to a whole cast of more members of the Kamo clan and Gojo clans. So I am very excited to see that, and I would love to see more backstory on this. But that is it for the first official 1000 subscriber Q&A. And here's to many more. Seriously, I cannot thank you all enough for helping me reach this milestone. You guys have no idea how much of a life-changing opportunity this can be for me. And I will forever be grateful for you choosing to spend your time with me, to just watch me be a nerd. But with that being said, that is the end of the video. And if you haven't already, I would like to ask you to give the video a like, comment, and maybe even subscribe. And if you want to support the channel even further, consider becoming a member to the channel. And that's all from me. Much love, big kisses, and I'll catch you guys all in the next one. Bye-bye.